Emma Walsh's bare feet slapped against the marble floor as she sprinted through the Grand Meridian Hotel, her wedding dress billowing behind her like a torn parachute. Mascara streaked down her cheeks, mixing with tears she refused to acknowledge. Her veil hung from her hair by a single bobby pin, dragging across the pristine floor. "Excuse me, ma'am, you can't run through here," a security guard called out, but Emma didn't stop. She couldn't stop. Behind her, somewhere in that gilded ballroom, Marcus was probably spinning lies to 300 guests about where his bride had disappeared to. She'd just discovered the truth 30 minutes before walking down the aisle. Her fiancé wasn't just controlling. He'd been using her event planning business to launder money for his investors. The USB drive burning in her clutched bouquet held all the evidence. Emma burst through double doors into what appeared to be a service corridor. Freedom was close. Just a few more turns and she'd reach the side exit where her best friend Sarah was waiting with a getaway car. Her heel caught on the dress hem. She stumbled forward, arms windmilling. That's when she saw the catering cart. Time slowed as Emma crashed into it with the grace of a demolition ball. Crystal champagne flutes launched into the air, spinning like diamonds in the chandelier light. The cart tilted. Emma grabbed for purchase and found only air. Then gravity took over. Champagne exploded across a man's back in a spectacular cascade. The stranger spun around, and Emma found herself staring up at the most beautiful face she'd ever seen. Sharp jawline. Dark eyes that held entire galaxies. Hair perfectly styled despite the champagne now dripping from it. "I am so sorry." Emma gasped, scrambling to her feet. Her heel chose that exact moment to snap. She lurched forward, and the ice bucket she'd grabbed for balance appended directly down the front of his suit. Ice cubes bounced everywhere. Water soaked through expensive fabric. The man stood completely still, water dripping from his designer tie. "My suit costs more than most cars," he said, his voice oddly calm. "And my wedding cost more than my dignity," Emma shot back, hysteria bubbling up. "So I guess we're even." Hotel staff materialized from nowhere, faces pale with horror. "Mr. Chen. We're terribly sorry. We'll have her removed immediately." Mr. Chen held up one hand, stopping them mid-panic. His eyes never left Emma's face. "That won't be necessary." Emma watched confusion flicker across the staff's faces. One of them actually bowed. "Who was this guy?" "Miss, are you all right?" Mr. Chen asked, and there was genuine concern in his voice that made Emma's throat tight. "I just left my fiancé at the altar after discovering he's a criminal, ruined a stranger's probably very expensive suit, and I'm pretty sure I broke my ankle." Emma laughed, the sound bordering on unhinged. "So yeah, I'm fantastic." "Marcus Westbrook?" Mr. Chen's expression shifted, something dangerous flickering in those dark eyes. "Investment banker Marcus Westbrook?" Emma's head snapped up. "You know him?" "He tried to pitch me last month. Something felt off about his numbers." Mr. Chen tilted his head, studying her with unsettling intensity. "You're Emma Walsh, the event planner. I saw your portfolio when he mentioned his fiancé's business." "That's extremely creepy that you remember that," Emma said, then immediately regretted it. "Sorry. Today has destroyed my filter along with my life." A smile tugged at his lips. The first real expression she'd seen. "Alexander Chen. And you're not wrong to be suspicious. But I remember because your work was impressive. Real talent always stands out." "Well, that talent is about to be dragged through the mud when Marcus tells everyone I'm a runaway bride who destroyed his reputation." Emma's voice cracked. She refused to cry in front of this stranger, no matter how kind his eyes were. Alexander's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and Emma watched his jaw tighten. "I need to take this. Don't move." He stepped away, and Emma caught fragments. "Grandmother, I'm not bringing anyone, because I don't have anyone. That's not fair. You can't just give Julian the company." Emma should leave. This wasn't her problem. But her feet wouldn't move. Maybe it was shock. Maybe it was the way this stranger had looked at her like she was a person, not a disaster. Alexander returned, running a hand through his damp hair. I still clung to his collar. This is going to sound insane. My day has already peaked on the insanity scale. Try me. My grandmother just threatened to hand Chen Industries over to my cousin if I don't bring someone real to the family estate this weekend. He paused. She's convinced I've become too cold. Too corporate. She wants to see me with someone who makes me human again. That's oddly specific emotional blackmail, Emma said. She's oddly specific about everything. Built a $2 billion empire on being specific. Alexander's phone buzzed again. He ignored it. And you need to disappear before your ex-fiancé finds you. Emma's heart lurched. How did you? Because I saw him walk into the lobby 2 minutes ago looking like a man hunting for something he owns. Alexander's voice went cold. And nobody owns you. Through the service corridor's small window, Emma spotted Marcus's profile. Her stomach dropped. Sarah must have been blocked from getting to the side exit. Emma was trapped. What are you suggesting? She whispered. Hide at my penthouse. It's secure. He'll never find you there. Alexander adjusted his ruined tie, somehow making even that gesture elegant. Better yet, be my girlfriend for 1 weekend. Fake girlfriend. We help each other. That's a terrible idea. Probably. We just met. Technically, you assaulted me with champagne. That's practically a bonding experience. Emma almost laughed. Almost. Why would you help me? Alexander's expression softened. Because I've seen men like Marcus before. They take and take until there's nothing left. And something tells me you're finally taking something back. Emma's hand tightened around her bouquet. The USB drive pressed against her palm through the flowers. Evidence that could put Marcus away. Evidence that could destroy her reputation if he spun it right. Rules, Emma said suddenly. If we do this, we need rules. Agreed. No real feelings. Just acting. And after this weekend, we go our separate ways. Clean break, Alexander confirmed. Emma's phone exploded with texts. Marcus's name flashed across the screen again and again. Then a new message that made her blood run cold. Emma, whatever you think you know, I can make you look worse. Come back now and we'll forget this happened. He's threatening me, Emma whispered, showing Alexander the screen. Alexander's expression went absolutely glacial. He pulled out his own phone, typed rapidly, and within seconds, a sleek black car pulled up to the service entrance Emma hadn't even noticed. My driver. We leave now. He shrugged off his ruined suit jacket and draped it over Emma's shoulders. It was warm and smelled like expensive cologne and champagne. Trust me? Emma looked at this stranger who'd shown her more kindness in 10 minutes than Marcus had in 2 years. She thought about the evidence in her hand. About starting over. About being brave enough to jump without knowing where she'd land. This is absolutely crazy, she said. Is that a yes? Emma took his offered hand. His grip was steady, solid, real. It's a yes. They moved fast. Alexander guided her through corridors she didn't know existed, his hand never leaving hers. Behind them, she heard Marcus's voice. Has anyone seen a bride? White dress, about 5'7", probably crying. Keep walking, Alexander murmured. Almost there. They burst through a service door into underground parking. The black car waited, door open. Alexander helped her inside, his hand gentle on her back. The dress made everything awkward, layers of tulle and silk refusing to cooperate. Go, Alexander told the driver. As they pulled away, Emma twisted to look out the back window. Marcus stood at the service entrance, phone pressed to his ear, rage twisting his features into something ugly. I can't believe I almost married him, Emma breathed. Sometimes we don't see clearly until we're ready to, Alexander said quietly. He was watching her with that intense focus again, like she was a puzzle he wanted to understand. The car glided through city streets. Emma should feel scared. She should feel something other than this strange, electric awareness of the man sitting 18 inches away, still dripping with champagne and ice water. "Your assistant just texted you," Emma said, noticing the phone light up. "Something about keeping it professional?" Alexander glanced at the screen and frowned. "Rebecca means well. She's protective of my schedule and my reputation." He pocketed the phone without responding. "She thinks everyone wants something from me." "Do they?" Emma asked. "Usually." His honesty was startling. "Money, connections, opportunities. It's exhausting always wondering what someone's real angle is." Emma understood that feeling more than he knew. Marcus proposed at a charity gala in front of 500 people. "I said yes because saying no would have humiliated him publicly. I should have said no anyway." "Why didn't you?" "Because I spent 2 years trying to be the woman he wanted. Quieter. More agreeable. Less clumsy." Emma laughed bitterly. "Turns out, I was so busy being perfect that I forgot perfect isn't real." The car stopped in front of a gleaming high-rise that scraped the clouds. Alexander's penthouse occupied the entire top floor. As they rode the private elevator up, Emma caught their reflection in the mirrored walls. She looked insane. Wedding dress destroyed, makeup smeared, hair escaping in wild curls. Alexander looked like he'd survived a champagne explosion, which was accurate. "We're a disaster," Emma said. "We're memorable," Alexander countered, and there was that almost smile again. The elevator doors opened directly into his home. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased the entire city glittering below. Everything was sleek, modern, and clearly cost more than Emma would make in 10 lifetimes. It felt cold despite being beautiful. "Guest room is down that hall. There's clothes in the closet, all sizes. Brand send me things." Alexander moved toward what she assumed was his bedroom. "We leave for the estate at 8 tomorrow morning. That gives you tonight to back out." "And if I don't back out?" He turned, and the intensity in his gaze made her breath catch. "Then tomorrow, you meet my family. And they're going to love you or eat you alive. Possibly both." Comforting. "I don't believe in false comfort." Alexander paused at his doorway. "Emma? Thank you for saying yes to this insanity." After he disappeared, Emma found the guest room. It was bigger than her entire apartment. The closet held designer clothes with tags still attached. She grabbed the softest sweater she'd ever touched and a pair of jeans, then stood under the shower until the hot water washed away the last physical traces of her almost wedding. But it couldn't wash away the USB drive. She'd tucked it in the makeup bag Sarah had smuggled to her before everything imploded. Evidence of Marcus's crime sat on the marble counter, small and devastating. Her phone buzzed. Sarah's name flashed across the screen. "Are you alive?" Sarah demanded the second Emma answered. "Alive. Currently hiding in a billionaire's penthouse." "I'm sorry, what?" Emma explained everything. The champagne disaster. Alexander's proposal. The escape. As she talked, she wandered to the guest room windows. The city spread below her like a carpet of stars. This is either the best or worst decision you've ever made," Sarah said carefully. "Probably both." "Do you trust this guy?" "I don't know him well enough to trust him," Emma admitted. "But he looked at me like I was a person, not a problem to manage." "That's more than Marcus ever did." "Fair point. What's he look like?" "Sarah. I'm just saying, if you're going to have a fake relationship with a billionaire, he better be hot." Despite everything, Emma laughed. "He's unfairly attractive. Like, stupid attractive. The kind of face that should be illegal." "Okay, I'm officially living through you. Call me after you meet the family tomorrow. If you don't call by noon, I'm sending the police." After they hung up, Emma couldn't sleep. She wandered into the main living area. Alexander stood by the windows, changed into casual clothes that somehow looked just as expensive as the suit. He held a glass of something amber. "Can't sleep either?" Emma asked. "Thinking about my grandmother. She's brilliant and terrifying in equal measure." He gestured to the bar. "Want something?" "Water's fine." Emma joined him at the windows. "Tell me about your family. If I'm going to convince them I'm your girlfriend, I should probably know basic facts." Alexander poured her water, then settled into explaining. His grandmother Chen Mei had built the family empire from nothing after immigrating at 25. His parents died in a car accident when he was 19, leaving him to raise his younger brother while running the company. His brother David married young, had Sophie, then divorced badly 3 years ago. "And Julian?" Emma prompted. "My cousin. He's wanted control of Chen Industries since we were kids. Grandmother made it clear leadership goes to whoever proves they can balance business with humanity." Alexander's jaw tightened. "Julian sees people as transactions. He'd destroy everything she built. So she's forcing your hand. Marry or lose everything." "Not marry. Just prove I haven't become him. That I still understand connection." He looked at Emma. "She's not wrong. I've been alone so long I forgot what it feels like to just talk to someone without calculating angles." "Is that what we're doing? Just talking?" "I think so." He sounded surprised by his own admission. "Tell me about your business. The real version, not the portfolio version." Emma described her event planning company. How she'd built it from birthday parties to high-end corporate events. The satisfaction of creating perfect moments for other people. How Marcus had slowly taken over, introducing his investors, redirecting her business accounts. "I was so stupid," Emma said quietly. "You were trusting." "That's not the same thing." "Feels the same from here." Alexander moved closer. "Not touching, just present. Tomorrow is going to be intense. My grandmother will ask invasive questions. Julian will try to trip you up. The staff will watch everything." "Having second thoughts about your disaster fake girlfriend?" "Actually, I'm thinking you might be exactly what I need." His voice dropped lower. "Someone real. Someone who doesn't care about my money or my name. Someone who dumped champagne on me and treated me like a regular person." "You're not regular," Emma said. "You're terrifying and kind, and you saved me when you had no reason to." "Maybe I had reasons." The words hung between them, heavy with meaning neither was ready to examine. Emma's phone buzzed. Marcus again. This time, the message was different. "I know you have the drive. Give it back and I'll let you disappear. Keep it, and I'll destroy everything you built." Her hands shook. Alexander gently took the phone, read the message, and his expression went arctic. "He's bluffing," Alexander said. "How do you know?" "Because men like Marcus are cowards. They threaten because they're scared." He handed back the phone. "Keep the drive safe. After this weekend, we'll figure out the right way to handle it. Legal channels. Protection. Why are you helping me?" Alexander was quiet for a long moment. "My mother used to say that we meet certain people at exactly the right time. Not by accident. By design." He smiled, soft and real. "Maybe you crashed into me for a reason. That's surprisingly romantic for a billionaire CEO. Don't spread that around. It'll ruin my reputation." They stood together as the city breathed below them, two strangers who'd collided in catastrophe and found something unexpected in the wreckage. Tomorrow would bring his family, the deception, the performance. But tonight, in this moment, Emma felt something she hadn't felt in years. She felt like herself. "Get some sleep," Alexander finally said. "Tomorrow, we convince my grandmother that a bride who destroyed my suit is the love of my life. No pressure." "Emma?" He caught her hand as she turned to leave. For what it's worth, I think she's going to see exactly what I see. What's that? Someone brave enough to run toward something new instead of staying in something safe. He squeezed her hand gently, then released it. That's rare. Emma's heart did something complicated in her chest. She fled to the guest room before she could do something stupid like kiss a stranger who was offering her shelter. This was fake. Temporary. A weekend arrangement to solve both their problems. So why did his words feel more real than anything Marcus had said in 2 years? Morning came too fast. Emma woke to find a garment bag hanging on her door with a note in elegant handwriting, "For today. Trust me." Inside was a stunning dress. Elegant but not trying too hard. Exactly what someone competent would wear to meet their boyfriend's family. Emma's stomach twisted. This was really happening. The drive to the Chen estate took 90 minutes. Alexander spent most of it coaching her on family details, but Emma noticed how his hands gripped the steering wheel tighter the closer they got. "You're nervous," she observed. "Grandmother has a gift for seeing through deception. If she suspects we're faking, this whole thing collapses." "Then we don't fake." Emma surprised herself with the words. "We just be honest about the parts that are real." "What parts are real?" "We met yesterday in a disaster. You made me laugh when I wanted to fall apart. I feel safer with you than I did with someone I dated for 2 years." Emma watched his profile. "Those things are true. We just don't mention the fake relationship part." Alexander's grip on the wheel relaxed slightly. "That's actually brilliant. Event planning teaches you that the best parties feel effortless but are meticulously planned. We plan the truth." The Chen estate materialized like something from a movie. Rolling grounds, a mansion that could house a small village, gardens that belonged in art museums. Emma's breath caught. "Still think you can do this?" Alexander asked softly. "Absolutely not. Let's go." His laugh was genuine, and Emma realized she was collecting those laughs like precious stones. Chen Mei waited in a sitting room that cost more than Emma's entire life. She was petite, elegant, and her eyes missed nothing. They tracked Emma's entrance like a hawk watching prey. "Grandmother, this is Emma Walsh," Alexander said, his hand finding the small of Emma's back. The touch felt natural, grounding. "The Runaway Bride," Chen Mei said, and Emma's heart stopped. "Yes, I have internet. And eyes. Sit, child. Let me look at you properly." Emma sat, back straight, meeting those sharp eyes directly. "Mrs. Chen, I know how this looks." "Like you finally found your spine?" Chen Mei interrupted. "Good. I was worried when I saw the engagement announcement last year. That Marcus Westbrook has dead eyes." Alexander made a strangled sound. "You knew about Marcus?" "I know about everything." Chen Mei turned her attention back to Emma. "So. You dumped champagne on my grandson and he brought you home like a wet cat. Why?" Emma felt Alexander tense beside her. This was the moment. Lie and lose, or risk the truth. "Because he was kind when he had no reason to be," Emma said quietly. "And I haven't met many kind people lately. It made me want to know him better." Chen Mei studied them both. "And you, Alexander? Why this girl? Why now?" "Because she's real, grandmother. She doesn't see dollar signs. She sees me." His voice carried conviction that made Emma's chest tight. "And maybe I needed someone to remind me who I am under all the corporate armor." The silence stretched. Then Chen Mei smiled, small and knowing. "Finally. Someone interesting. Julian is bringing his latest accessory tonight. Some model who thinks Shanghai is in Japan. You two will be refreshing." Emma barely suppressed her laugh. Alexander's hand squeezed her back gently, a silent thank you. "Dinner is at 7. Formal." Chen Mei stood with the grace of someone decades younger. "Emma, walk with me. I want to show you the gardens." Alexander's fingers tightened fractionally on Emma's back before releasing. She was on her own. The gardens were breathtaking. Chinmay walked slowly, hands clasped behind her back. Emma matched her pace, waiting. She'd learned patience in event planning. Sometimes you had to let the client speak first. My grandson has been alone too long, Chinmay finally said. After his parents died, he built walls so high even I cannot reach him sometimes. Then you crash into his life covered in champagne. I'm not usually that clumsy, Emma offered weakly. Yes, you are. I can tell. But there was warmth in Chinmay's voice. You know what I see when I look at you? Someone who chose chaos over comfort. That takes courage. It felt more like panic. Courage often does. Chinmay stopped by a koi pond, watching the fish glide through clear water. My husband proposed to me after knowing me for 3 days. Everyone said we were crazy. We had 47 years together before he passed. Emma's throat tightened. I'm sorry. Don't be. I'm grateful. Chinmay turned those sharp eyes on Emma. Sometimes the right person arrives in the wrong packaging at exactly the right time. Tell me, Emma Walsh. Do you have feelings for my grandson? The question hit like a physical blow. Emma opened her mouth to lie and found she couldn't. I don't know, she whispered. We just met. But when I'm with him, I feel like I can breathe for the first time in years. That's terrifying. Good. Love should terrify you. That's how you know it matters. Chinmay started walking again. Julian will try to destroy this at dinner. He'll dig into your past, make you look foolish, question your motives. How you handle that will tell me everything I need to know. About what? About whether you're strong enough for this family. We eat the week for breakfast. Emma laughed despite her nerves. Mrs. Chen, I just left my fiancé at the altar after discovering he was a criminal. I think I can handle your cousin. I'm starting to see why Alexander likes you. Chinmay patted Emma's hand. Now go. Prepare for battle. Wear something that makes you feel powerful. And Emma? Don't try to be perfect. Perfect is boring. Be brave instead. Back in the guest suite Alexander had showed her earlier, Emma found 3 more dresses hanging in the closet. She chose the midnight blue one that hugged her curves and made her feel like she could conquer armies. A knock on the door. Alexander entered, stopped, and just stared. Is it too much? Emma asked, suddenly self-conscious. It's perfect. His voice was rough. Emma, about tonight. Julian is going to be vicious. He'll say things designed to make you crack. Your grandmother warned me. She likes you. She hasn't liked anyone I brought home in, ever, actually. You brought home other women? 3. All disasters. All calculated attempts to meet her requirements. Alexander moved closer. This is different. Because it's fake? Because it doesn't feel fake. The words hung between them, dangerous and true. Does it feel fake to you? Emma's heart hammered. No. That's the problem. His hand came up, fingers barely grazing her cheek. Maybe it's not a problem. Maybe it's the point. A sharp knock shattered the moment. Alexander stepped back as Julian Chen strode in without invitation. He was handsome in a cold way, like a marble statue. His eyes calculated everything in seconds. The famous Emma Walsh. Marcus has been calling everyone, warning us about you. Julian's smile was sharp as broken glass. Says you're a thief. A con artist. That you stole confidential information. Julian, get out, Alexander said, voice like ice. I'm just trying to protect the family, cousin. We can't have some gold digger. Finish that sentence and I'll make you regret it, Alexander interrupted, and Emma had never heard such quiet fury. But Emma stepped forward, chin high. Marcus is lying because I discovered he was using my business for money laundering. I have proof. And the only thing I stole was my own life back from a man who tried to control it. Julian's eyes narrowed. Prove it. I don't have to prove anything to you. Emma held his gaze. But if you want to keep making accusations, I'm happy to explain to your grandmother exactly what kind of man you're defending. I bet she'd be very interested in Marcus's business practices. And who his silent partners might be. The color drained from Julian's face. Alexander's hand found Emma's, fingers interlacing. United front. This isn't over, Julian said, retreating. Yes, it is, Alexander replied. When the door closed, Emma's knees nearly buckled. Alexander caught her, pulled her close. That was incredible, he breathed. How did you know about Julian's connection to Marcus? I didn't. I guessed. Emma laughed shakily against his chest. His reaction told me I was right. You're terrifying. I think Alexander stopped himself. We should go down. Dinner. But neither of them moved. Emma looked up, found Alexander staring at her like she'd rearranged his entire world. Maybe she had. Maybe he'd rearranged hers too. After this weekend, Emma whispered, what happens to us? I don't know. His thumb traced circles on her hand. But I know I don't want to go back to the life I had before champagne and chaos. Dinner was a battlefield dressed as a family meal. Crystal chandeliers cast elegant shadows across the dining table that could seat 20. Emma sat beside Alexander, his niece Sophie across from them. The teenager had barely looked up from her phone, but Emma caught her watching them with careful curiosity. Julian arrived with his date, a woman named Katrina who was indeed beautiful and indeed thought Shanghai was in Japan. Chen Mei sat at the head of the table like a queen surveying her kingdom. So Emma, Julian began before the first course arrived, event planning. That must be lucrative, helping wealthy people throw parties. It's rewarding, Emma replied carefully. I like creating moments people remember. And Marcus Westbrook? Was he memorable? Alexander's hand found Emma's under the table. She squeezed back, drawing strength. He was a lesson, Emma said clearly. About knowing your worth and not accepting less than you deserve. And you think you deserve Alexander? A man worth billions? Julian's smile was poison. I think Emma deserves respect, which is more than you're offering, Alexander cut in, voice sharp. But Chen Mei held up one hand. Let the girl answer. Emma, why do you think you're good for my grandson? The table went silent. This was the real test. Emma felt every eye on her, waiting for her to stumble. I don't know if I'm good for him, Emma said honestly. But I know that when he's with me, he laughs. Real laughs, not polite corporate ones. I know he stayed up past midnight talking to me about his parents, and I don't think he does that often. She turned to look at Alexander. I know that he makes me brave enough to be myself instead of pretending to be someone smaller and quieter. Maybe that's not enough for some people. But it feels like everything to me. The silence stretched. Then Sophie spoke for the first time. Uncle Alex hasn't laughed like that in years, the teenager said quietly. Not since before Mom and Dad divorced. He's different with you. Sophie, Alexander started. It's true. You're always working or worrying or being responsible. But yesterday I heard you laugh from your room. Like, really laugh. It was nice. Sophie looked at Emma with eyes too old for 16. Don't hurt him. He pretends he's invincible but he's not. Emma's throat went tight. I won't. I promise. Julian made a disgusted sound. This is ridiculous. She's clearly manipulating all of you. Marcus told me she stole. Marcus told you about his money laundering operation? Chen Mei's voice cut through the room like a blade. Because I find it fascinating that you're so concerned about defending a criminal, Julian. Unless you have your own reasons to protect him? Julian's face went white, then red. I don't know what you're implying. I'm implying that I didn't build this company by being stupid. I'm implying that if you've gotten involved with Marcus Westbrook's schemes, you're done. Chen Mei stood, tiny but terrifying. Dinner is over. Julian, see me in my study. Now. Julian left like a man walking to his execution. The tension shattered. Alexander's brother David, who'd been silent all evening, actually laughed. Well, that was dramatic, David said. Emma, you're officially my favorite person. No one's made Julian look that scared since grandmother found out he was shorting company stock in college. The rest of dinner was lighter. Sophie opened up about her art, showing Emma sketches on her phone. David told embarrassing stories about Alexander as a teenager. Emma felt something dangerous and wonderful blooming in her chest. This felt like family. Real family, messy and honest and kind. After dinner, Alexander walked Emma through the gardens. The moon hung heavy and silver, painting everything in shades of dream. You were amazing tonight, Alexander said softly. I just told the truth. That's why it was amazing. He stopped walking, turned to face her. Emma, I need to tell you something. Her heart stuttered. Okay. This was supposed to be fake. A weekend arrangement. Help each other and walk away clean. His hands found her face, gentle and sure. But somewhere between champagne and now, it stopped being fake for me. You stopped being fake for me. Alexander. I know it's fast. I know it's crazy. But I've spent 15 years building walls and you walked through them like they were made of paper. His thumb traced her cheekbone. I don't want this to end Sunday. I don't want to go back to my empty penthouse and pretend I don't feel this. Emma's eyes burned with tears. I'm terrified. Me too. Absolutely terrified. He smiled, soft and real. Be terrified with me anyway? She kissed him. Or he kissed her. It didn't matter who moved first. What mattered was the way the world fell away, leaving only this moment, this man, this feeling of finally coming home to herself. When they broke apart, Emma was crying and laughing at the same time. I left a man at the altar yesterday, she said breathlessly. And now I'm kissing a billionaire in a garden. My life is insane. Our life, Alexander corrected. If you'll have it. Have me. Chaos and all. I dumped champagne on you. Best thing that ever happened to me. I'm clumsy and impulsive and I have a criminal ex-boyfriend who's probably going to make my life hell. We'll handle it. Together. Alexander pulled her close. Emma Walsh, I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm asking you to be real. With me. For as long as you'll have me. That's a terrible business proposition, Emma whispered against his chest. Good thing I'm not interested in business right now. They stood in the garden as stars wheeled overhead, two people who'd collided in catastrophe and found something neither had been looking for. Something real. Something worth the terror and the risk and the beautiful uncertainty of it all. Later that night, in the guest suite, Emma's phone buzzed. Sarah's name flashed across the screen. Tell me everything, Sarah demanded. I think I'm in love with him, Emma said, the words feeling both impossible and inevitable. After 2 days? After 2 days. Emma laughed. I'm either having the best or worst weekend of my life. Based on your voice? Definitely the best. What about Marcus? Alexander's lawyers are handling it. They're going to make sure the evidence gets to the right people. Marcus is done. And you're just starting, Sarah said softly. I'm happy for you, Em. Genuinely happy. After they hung up, Emma found Alexander waiting in the hallway, hair messy, wearing soft clothes that made him look younger, more vulnerable. Couldn't sleep, he admitted. Kept thinking about you. Same. They ended up in his room, talking until 3 in the morning. About dreams and fears and everything that mattered. Emma fell asleep on his chest, listening to his heartbeat, feeling safer than she'd felt in years. Sunday morning came too fast. Time to return to the real world. But as they drove back to the city, Emma realized something crucial. The real world had changed. She'd changed. She was no longer the woman who'd run through that hotel in a torn wedding dress. She was someone braver. Someone who'd chosen herself. Someone who'd found love in the wreckage of her old life. Alexander pulled up to her apartment building. Neither of them moved to leave the car. "So," Emma said. "So," Alexander echoed. "This is where you say it was nice knowing me and drive off into your billionaire sunset. Or this is where I say I'm picking you up for dinner tomorrow. And the day after that. And every day you'll let me." He kissed her hand. "I told you, Emma. This isn't fake anymore. This is the realest thing I've ever felt. Your grandmother is going to make me work for her approval, isn't she? Probably. She likes you too much to make it easy." Alexander smiled. "Think you can handle being with someone whose family is this complicated?" "I think I can handle anything if you're holding my hand through it." 6 months later, Emma stood in a different garden wearing a different dress. This one was simple, elegant, and entirely her choice. Sarah stood beside her as maid of honor. Sophie had designed the invitations. Chen Mei sat in the front row, dabbing at her eyes but smiling. The ceremony was small. Just family and close friends. No 300 strangers, no performance, no pretending to be anything other than exactly who they were. When the officiant asked if anyone objected, thunder rumbled. Rain began to fall, soft at first, then harder. The tent they'd set up blew over. The cake, precariously perched on a table, tilted and collapsed in spectacular fashion. Emma looked at Alexander, rain streaming down both their faces, and burst out laughing. "This is perfect," she said. "It's a disaster," Alexander replied, but he was laughing too. "Same thing." Emma kissed him as rain soaked through her dress, as their carefully planned ceremony dissolved into beautiful chaos. "I love you, Alexander Chen." Champagne explosions and all. "I love you, Emma Walsh soon-to-be Chen." Especially the champagne explosions. They danced in the rain while their guests laughed and cheered. The photographer caught it all. The collapsed cake, the blown tent, the bride and groom spinning through puddles like children. Every image was imperfect and honest and absolutely real. Later, looking at those photos, Emma would remember what Chen Mei had told her that first day in the gardens. Sometimes the right person arrives in the wrong packaging at exactly the right time. Sometimes you have to run away from the wrong thing to collide with the right one. Sometimes love doesn't look like a fairy tale. Sometimes it looks like champagne explosions and ruined suits and brave choices made in moments of pure panic. Sometimes disaster is just destiny wearing a disguise. And sometimes, just sometimes, the girl who runs away from her wedding in a torn dress finds exactly what she was running toward all along. If you loved Emma and Alexander's story, hit that like button and let us know in the comments what your favorite moment was. Would you take a chance on love after a disaster like Emma did? Subscribe for more heartfelt romance stories that prove love finds us in the most unexpected ways. New stories every week. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the best love stories start with the worst first impressions.